Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I want to personally invite you to become part of this quiet little corner of the internet. Go ahead and press that subscribe button. It might seem small to you, just a click, a second of your time. But to me, to this space, it means everything. It means these stories continue. It means voices that feel unheard find a place to breathe. It means someone somewhere who is silently breaking inside realizes they are not alone. On this channel, we don't just tell stories. We unfold them slowly. We sit with emotions most people scroll past. We look at the fragile edges of love. We explore the spaces between two heartbeats, where truth often hides. If you've ever felt something shift in your life without noise, without drama, without warning, then you're exactly where you need to be. Because life doesn't always change with explosions. Sometimes it changes with a whisper. Sometimes it changes with a sound so small, so ordinary, that you almost convince yourself you imagined it. That's how my life changed. Not with shouting. Not with slamming doors. Not with tears falling in cinematic slow motion. It changed with a faint, rhythmic sound upstairs. And that sound would unravel everything I thought I knew about love. From the outside, our house looked like a photograph torn from a lifestyle magazine. Fresh paint that still carried the faint scent of new beginnings. Curtains so white they almost glowed when sunlight poured through them. A lawn trimmed with obsessive care, as if symmetry alone could guarantee happiness. Neighbors would smile at us during evening walks. You two are perfect together. I used to smile back. I perfected that smile. The polite nod. The gentle laugh. The subtle lean toward him. As if closeness was effortless. As if affection was natural. As if love hadn't quietly begun to decay behind closed doors. Perfection is deceptive. It's a mask. And like all masks, it hides something underneath. Behind our walls, silence had settled into the corners like dust. The kind you don't notice at first. The kind that slowly gathers until one day you realize you're breathing it in. Our home wasn't loud. There were no screaming matches. No broken plates. No dramatic exits. There was just quiet. The suffocating kind. Birthdays passed with carefully chosen gifts and empty hugs. Anniversaries were marked with restaurant reservations that felt more like obligations than celebrations. We sat across from each other at dinner tables, forks scraping against porcelain, eyes drifting anywhere but toward the truth. The distance between us didn't happen overnight. It stretched slowly, like a thread being pulled tighter and tighter until one day, it snapped. There was a time when my husband looked at me like I was gravity itself, like everything in his world revolved around me. His eyes used to soften when they met mine. There was warmth there, curiosity, desire, presence. Then gradually his gaze changed. It didn't land on me anymore. It passed through me, as if I were just another object in the room. A chair. A painting. Familiar. Functional. Unnoticed. We still shared a bed. Still shared routines. Still shared grocery lists and bills and weekend errands. But our souls? They no longer touched. And if you've ever felt that kind of loneliness, the kind that exists while someone sleeps inches away from you, then you understand. It's a silence louder than anger, heavier than betrayal, more painful than shouting could ever be. And if any part of that resonates with you, subscribe. Because this story is for the ones who loved quietly and realized too late that silence can be the cruelest sound of all. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning. That's the part that still haunts me. Nothing dramatic happened beforehand. No intuition screaming in my ear. No ominous music playing in the background. Just sunlight slipping lazily through the curtains. The soft hum of the city beginning its day. The smell of coffee rising gently from the mug in my hands. I remember stirring that coffee absent-mindedly. The spoon clinked against porcelain. Normal. Ordinary. Safe. And then I heard it. A soft rhythmic sound from upstairs. At first I dismissed it. Old pipes. The wind brushing against the windows. The house settling into itself. But something inside me tightened. There are moments when your body knows before your mind is willing to accept it. My fingers froze around the spoon. The sound came again. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just wrong. It didn't belong in that silence. My heart began to race. Not wildly, not chaotically, but steadily, like it was preparing me for impact. Logic whispered, "Don't overreact. You're imagining things. Finish your coffee." But my heart had already started climbing the stairs before my mind could stop it. Each step felt heavier than the last. The house seemed to grow quieter the higher I climbed, as if even the walls were holding their breath. At the top of the stairs, I saw it. The bedroom door. Slightly ajar. A thin line of light spilling into the hallway. My hand hovered over the doorknob. There was still time to turn back. There was still time to preserve ignorance. But truth has a strange pull. Once you sense it waiting behind a door, you cannot pretend it isn't there. I pushed the door open. And there it was. The glow of a screen illuminating his face in pale blue light. My husband. The man who once traced promises across my skin. The man who vowed I would never have to doubt him. He didn't hear me at first. He was typing. Quickly. Intently. And then I saw the words on the screen. "You make me feel alive again." Alive. That word sliced through me, because he hadn't said that to me in years. Maybe he never had. He looked up. Our eyes met. And in that split second, something shattered. Not loudly, not violently, but completely. We didn't scream. We didn't argue. We didn't need to. Some silences are louder than accusations. That night, dinner felt like a ritual we were performing for an invisible audience. Fork against plate. Water being poured. Chairs shifting slightly. We avoided each other's eyes as if direct contact might force honesty into the open. I wanted to ask questions. Who is she? How long? Why? But the anger never fully formed. Instead, there was emptiness. A hollow space where certainty used to live. The man sitting across from me was still my husband on paper. But he wasn't mine anymore. And maybe he hadn't been for a long time. Because the truth is, our love didn't die that night. It had been fading for years. Quietly. Patiently. Methodically. And I had ignored it. Ignored the shorter conversations. The way his laughter changed. The way his phone suddenly went everywhere with him. The way we stopped touching without ever discussing why. Love rarely collapses in one dramatic moment. It erodes. Like stone against water. Slow. Invisible. Relentless. The days that followed blurred together. Time lost shape. Morning came. Evening fell. We existed. But we did not connect. Every notification sound from his phone felt like a needle sliding under my skin. Every time he turned the screen away from me, I felt a piece of myself shrink. I began waking up at 2 a.m. That hour became my companion. The room dark. The ceiling staring back at me. The other side of the bed cold. I would lie there wondering, is this real? Is this what marriage becomes? Is this the quiet end no one talks about? Strength is misunderstood. People think it's loud. That it roars. That it fights. But real strength often whispers. It tells you to endure. To wait. To hope. And for months I endured. I told myself it would pass. That maybe he was just stressed. That maybe this was a phase. That maybe love could be revived if I tried harder. So I cooked his favorite meals. I smiled more. I dressed differently. I laughed at jokes that didn't amuse me. I tried to become visible again. But you cannot compete with someone who exists in imagination. Especially when you've become routine. Then Friday came. And something inside me had shifted. Not dramatically. Not angrily. But clearly. Clarity doesn't arrive with thunder. It arrives like morning light, soft, undeniable, impossible to ignore once you see it. I climbed the stairs again. Not trembling this time. Not frozen. Purposeful. The door was closed. I knocked. He opened it. There it was again, the glow of the screen, the flicker of guilt crossing his face. But this time, I didn't stay silent. Why? I asked. My voice trembled, but it held. Why am I not enough? He stammered. It doesn't mean anything. I looked at him. It means everything, I said quietly. You chose silence over me. And in that moment, something inside me broke. But not from pain. From understanding. I realized I had been mourning something that was already gone. I had been trying to save a love that had stopped breathing long ago. The next morning, The sun rose exactly as it always had. Birds outside. Light through curtains. The world indifferent to my private collapse. I packed a small bag. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just deliberately. Each folded piece of clothing felt like a decision. Each zipper closing felt like acceptance. When I walked toward the door, I paused. I looked around the house that once felt like a future. And I understood something profound. Strength is not always holding on. Sometimes strength is walking away. Sometimes it's choosing peace over appearance. Freedom over familiarity. Truth over comfort. I opened the door, stepped outside, and closed it behind me. The silence that once suffocated me felt different. It still hurt, but beneath the ache, there was air. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for him to see me. I saw myself. And that changed everything. If you've ever walked away from something that once meant everything, if you've ever realized too late that silence was speaking all along, if you've ever chosen yourself after years of choosing someone else, you are not alone. Every ending carries the fragile seed of a beginning. And sometimes the smallest sound, a notification, a whisper, a crack in routine, is the moment your life quietly changes direction. If this story found you at the right time, subscribe. Because your story matters too. And maybe one day, your voice will be the whisper that helps someone else finally listen to their own. Sometimes the smallest sound changes everything. Sometimes silence isn't the end. Sometimes it's the beginning.